This is our second episode.
Yes.
And I'm your host, Dagny.
And I'm your other host, Damali.
And in this episode, we're talking about robots.
Yes.
Technology.
Yes.
Humans.
And everything in between.
Yes. Mm-hmm. So let's first start with, and this conversation is first starting with this particular series that we both started watching. Mm-hmm. And then Damali watched more of it after me.
Yeah.
And it's called Humans.
Mm-hmm.
And in this series,
it's a British show.
It's a British show.
Mm-hmm.
And in this series, it's a near future where we are utilizing humanoids, as in they are robots made to look like humans. And they are our AI assistant sort of thing.
Yes.
So instead of having Alexa being just some little speaker, it's a full humanoid doing everything Alexa would do, plus be a maid and everything else, I guess.
Yes.
Technically, right? Mm-hmm. So what aspect of this series do you want to start off with to discuss?
I guess the first part is the show shows the TV show shows how life could be or would be if we had like robots that look like human running around. And you have like a distinction. You have the robots that kind of act like, I guess they don't have consciousness, right? So you talk about they don't have consciousness, they don't have thoughts. They just do the work and that's it. And then you have these other robots that actually literally have feelings, they have thoughts, they can actually, like, they cry, they feel all of this stuff. And at some point, of course, I don't know, is this a big spoiler to see what happens with the robots? Like when people will find out eventually.
So here's the disclaimer right here.
Yes.
There will be spoilers here if you have not watched the show.
Yes.
So if you want to watch the show, it was on Amazon Prime, right?
Is that where it was? Yeah,
right?
Amazon.
It's called Humans on Amazon Prime, and there's season 1 and 2.
3 and 4. I think there's like 3 or 4 seasons.
Okay, yeah. So if you want to watch it and not be spoiled, stop the podcast now.
Yeah, there's some slight spoilers.
If you don't mind, we shall now continue our conversation.
Yes.
Go ahead.
So yes, after the spoiler alert part, the part where everyone finds out that these robots have consciousness and they have thoughts, and a big part in the show is how differently everyone reacts to that. I don't know. In history, humans always tend to be quite, fearful of things they don't know or they don't understand, and that's kind of what happens with the robots. And also, I guess there's fear involved as well. And so, of course, it made me think about like what would happen if we got to that point if we get to that point where there's robots like everywhere and they all look like us, they all act like us, and everything, but they're doing everything and they're living in society. And like I think it's interesting to see how people would react if that were like the case. So I thought that was kind of interesting. I mean, the very beginning of the show had really good like mission and plot and stuff. The plot kind of went downhill a little bit, I think, towards like the second or third season, but I still think the overall like, what's it called? I guess like the overall idea, I guess, or the point is it's interesting. That's one part that we can talk about. Okay.
So let's unpack that further. So this concept of what would it be like having humanoids living among regular society? Because yes, we already have humanoids being developed now already, but they're all for like high science or high military type of stuff, as opposed to it's a toaster kind of thing. So for me, I take note of how a lot of these movies, in particular like the series and other movies where they're utilizing humanoids or androids like this, they're always like, well, they're supposed to be an object or supposed to be an appliance. Yeah. And that's it. And so with this series in particular, where you have so many humanoids that almost look like they are half of the population.
Exactly. Yeah.
Or they amount to as much humans that are on planet Earth.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, but do you really need that many appliances?
Yeah. Like everyone need their own private robot?
Yeah. Because it's like, but they take so much maintenance and technology to have instead, so you can't see them as just a toaster anymore. Because yes, everybody has a toaster in their house apparently, but like having everyone have a humanoid and they're walking around and they're in the grocery store and they're at the bank and they're in the park and they're always with you and no.
The toaster doesn't have a consciousness.
Yeah. So once we get to that deal of the humanoids are having a conscience and want to do their own thing and want to think for themselves and want to push back on what a human tells them to do, it's like, okay, then what now is their purpose? Because on the one hand, I'm always team android or humanoid or whatever, because I just think the humans just always be acting useless
doing things
useless for things that you shouldn't be doing. Like the humanoid didn't want to be a weapon and now you make it a weapon and then you get mad when it comes and kills you. And
Terminator much?
Exactly.
We can talk about that too at some point.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's like, why are you mad when you're the one who created it? It didn't create itself.
Exactly.
So I'm always team humanoid regardless of how like berserk or bizarre they get to, because they are more advanced intellectually speaking, because we made them that way. So when similar to what was it, one of the Avengers, was it Tron or something?
Ultron.
Yeah, when Ultron.
Age of Ultron.
There you go. Yeah, where that one turned around and be like, I studied all of y'all. Y'all are useless. You don't need to be here.
I'm just kidding.
Y'all don't need to be here. Like, I'm just gonna like cut off the population because what are these wars? What are you doing to the environment? Yeah. What are you doing? How can you be so dumb that you can't see what you're doing? Look at all this damage. Y'all are just wasteful. Y'all are nasty. Like, it makes sense.
Yeah.
So I'm team humanoid, but
I understand.
In that, so on that side, I am team humanoid, yes. But on the other side, if technically speaking, you were built to be a high-tech toaster, but now you want to think for yourself, what do you do?
Yeah.
If you no longer want to be the toaster, but you were literally built to be a high-end toaster, why are we here? Because then I'm kind of like, okay, so what does your consciousness contribute to now? Can you contribute to philosophy on this planet? You've already studied all of it because you don't have to read it. You just download stuff and everything.
Find the cure for cancer.
I get, right? Or like, but like, would we allow them to? Because to me, I'm like, yes, it'd be cool to the notion that, we could learn from the technology we build.
Yeah. As in,
okay, you built the technology, but it gets to a point where it's no longer a passive object that just does what you type into it or does what it does because you turned it on and off switch. Mm-hmm. But you do the on switch and it's able to go beyond what you have typed in because it has that consciousness of, it can connect, it can think for itself, connect the dots for you and all of that. That's great. Would we actually listen to it then? You know what I'm saying? Like, are we going to be like, oh yeah, you know what my humanoid told me today, this morning? This is the key
behind life,
this is the key. Like exactly. Would we listen to it or be like, oh my gosh, you're just a toaster. Why would I listen to that? Exactly. Yeah. So when you look at, because there's this, I should remember her name, but I don't. But there's this particular TikToker who she's very much into futuristic technology and taking note of like, we'll be having technology in particular when it comes to healthcare, where, you have a mirror that is checking all of your vitals for you and telling you, so it's all preventative of it's telling you exactly where you're going. This is what your habits are with your eating. This is what your habits with your sleeping. It completely monitors everything beyond what the Fitbit type watches does.
Yeah.
So in these movies, sure, the humanoid, like in Humans, it's the humanoid that's telling you, you need to eat now. Your blood pressure, no. Like it's monitoring all that stuff for you. Will you listen to it though?
Yeah.
Do you want something? Because on the one hand, that should keep you even healthier.
Yeah.
Because everyone else is so inconvenient to stay on my lifestyle or my diet or no. But the humanoid is supposed to do all of that or keep you on check. Mm-hmm. Will you listen to it though?
Mm-hmm.
And then if for the humanoid who wants consciousness, then what's the purpose of your life if you want to remove yourself from what you were programmed to do?
Yeah. Because how are you?
Because I'm like, will they get depressed then?
Yeah, and there's even like one humanoid in the show too that it's a small spoiler again, where he at first he didn't have his consciousness and then he got his consciousness and he got his thoughts, and after a while he was like, I don't want my consciousness, I don't want it anymore because I don't know what to do. It's scary. The world scares me. I would have preferred my life as it was, where I had this one function. I was a caretaker for this human, and then that's it. All this other extra stuff. I want to be helpful, but humans treat me differently because now I have conscience. So that was an interesting distinction in the show.
So that is a That is a question I would ask in terms of, I don't have an issue with humanoids having consciousness.
What would you do?
But are we going to listen to them? Are we going to treat them as equals? Because that's another pattern in all these movies of insisting we treat them as a second-hand citizen or a second-hand something. And like you noted in the humans thing where the plot took a total turn, which it looked like you're just talking about the Black American experience through humanoids that are not Black. And it's like, wait, what?
Why are we, you want
them in concentration camps?
Yeah.
What?
And also it was around when we were watching it, I guess it was 2021. When did we watch? 2021?
I think 2020 is when we first saw it.
But it's around the time all the, I don't know, it was before or after the BLM stuff and the protests and everything. And I guess the show got to a point where it was like, it was kind of triggering because it was too close to what still happens today, where people are, treating people unfairly because they are afraid of them or they don't understand them or they don't agree with how they look like or things like that. And it also reminded concentration camps too, like in the Holocaust as well, and things like that, and like,
or the Japanese in America,
and the Japanese internment camps too, and it just kind of got in that like depressing mode, and how they were, and then like so I don't know, even though we always said spoiler, but I don't want to give too many spoilers. But so it kind of was and it was sad because it's like the humans literally made these like, you didn't have to make them like I don't think you make them like that and then you treat them like that, and it's like, although I guess they didn't know that they would all end up having a way to be conscious, but it was a bit triggering. I would like to watch. I'm not curious to watch the ending of it just to see exactly where they go with it, but some parts of it I was like And then we also compared it to what's it called, iRobot as well, I think, right? And the
Bicentennial Man,
as well, and how I think both those movies were a bit better overall. But I will say that the quality of the robots in this show, I think it came out in 2015, is like top tier. It's like really good. Like the way they, I mean, obviously, they're using like a real human, but the way they do, the way they move, the content, all of the things they use, like is really good quality, and the things they can do and how seamless it is and everything, which I thought was like, obviously they put a lot of money in. Well, they put a lot of money in that part, and it wasn't CGI. It was like
right,
no stuff. So
true.
Yeah.
But in terms of the storytelling, it's true that comparing this one of humans and maybe that's why the plot kind of felt like it was going off track, because in Bicentennial Man, the plot is very obvious of like, Robin Williams' character is supposed to be just an AI assistant, but over time does develop feelings and memories, and is a very special, as usual in all these movies, there's this one special one that just seems to have a glitch that's showing more human qualities.
Right, yeah.
And then instead of just being about, it's the future, you actually care more about Bicentennial Man because you are in his shoes of, wow, you actually are loving people, but they all are dying because they grow old.
Yeah.
And you as Bicentennial Man just have to stay here and watch it, or they go through pain and you can't help them with it, even though you're supposed to aid them, but you can't fully understand what that emotion is and things like that. Same with, the iRobot, there is a particular plot of there's a villain and you're utilizing this technology to take advantage of people. And there's one particular robot who's like, I'm not going to follow those rules, and now I need to collaborate with a human to get this, to go against everything.
Oh, also I think, what was the other one? Was it Eagle Eye was another one?
Yes.
And also artificial intelligence. Those were all ones that were from some,
Right.
ago.
Same with Terminator.
Yeah.
Where again, it's like, okay, you created the AI. They, as usual, take over. And now there's this constant going back and forth in time to try and prevent the AI getting to that point.
Yes. Yeah.
None of those surrounded what this human series plot is of like, we're just assisting people who can afford to purchase us.
Yeah.
And then, but outside the home, people are trying to utilize them as scapegoats when they're literally just like AI, like assistant, tech assistant in the house.
Yeah.
And so it does. In some ways, I felt Humans also gives a more realistic idea of what humanoids could be in our lives.
Yeah.
As opposed to, because Wow.
Excuse me. Hit my foot.
Indeed. As opposed to like, because, you know, Terminator and iRobot are all like super action packed. I'm not sure. And Eagle Eye.
Yeah.
Super action packed. I'm not
It's
sure
more
how
focused
many
on
of us will be, you know, doing that sort of thing with humanoids. But while the human series does give more of that really could be a thing, possibly.
Mhm.
Not so much of like a full human looking android thing, because I'm like, I feel you could still do much more with just the appliances you already have in your kitchen.
Exactly. They don't have to
Can
look
just-
exactly like
Yeah, the stove could just cook itself. You don't need
Exactly.
a human robot cooking at the stove.
For you. Just cook
Just get the
for me.
stove to do it, you know?
Exactly.
But we
More
digress. Yes.
convenient.
So, but I do take note of like this recurring theme that because of the way humans treated the robots, there's always this fear that the robots will come back to do the same thing to the humans.
Which is similar to like, you know,
Similar to, we're so worried
slavery.
that Black Americans will just come back and do everything that was done to them. Or Black people all over the world will do everything that was on to them.
Yes.
Or any marginalized group, people.
Yeah.
Any oppressed group of people will
come back.
completely come back and do exactly the same bogus
fear.
stuff. Because, of course, that's the way things work. So we must continue to oppress them and scapegoat them in order for that to not to happen.
Yes. That's why we do the same thing with these robots that we...
You know? And I'm kind of like, so are you guys just like trying to prophesize that's it?
Yeah.
Or like,
maybe
why can't we just
go
flip the
beyond
script?
that.
Why can't we do something? Because it would be cool to see like a movie where there's a humanoid scientist and a human scientist who are trying to find the cure for something that's having a problem in the entire globe. And the tension between the two of them, because even though they're both qualified, but the slights that may happen because one is technically not human and one is. Or the slice that might happen that because one is not human, they have more advantages if they can just download stuff off their brain and stuff. And the other one can't. You know, like to see that dynamic would, I feel, make more sense because, I mean, you're technically utilizing technology like that already.
That's true.
Right?
Like helping you do things that to make your life easier.
Exactly. Instead of just seeing technology as always like the maid. And that's it.
Yeah. But then you have like technology advancement and stuff, how it's been going with all these like these new items and things like that. Like you have like Siri and you have like Alexa and everything. I mean, I still think a little creepy that she just kind of talks to me whenever. But like it'll be intriguing to see like in 10, 20 years, like how far will that go and like how like where do we end up kind of thing? Like will we actually get to a point where we have, and I know we have some like, what was it? Some practice ones, not practice ones. Those prototypes. Yeah. And I heard something too about like there are these two robots or something they made in a hospital, and they were like communicating just to each other or something. So they freaked out, they turned them off or something like that. I think, I don't know, I could be wrong.
They were already planning world domination.
Exactly, that's exactly what they were talking about.
Definitely with Mojo Jojo.
Yeah, yes. I'm like, that's intriguing
because you can't control all technology. Like the further we get developing it,
it's gonna
they're gonna start interacting with each other and be like, hey, we can do stuff without these humans. Let's do it. Exactly. But you know, that reminds me also, which is I guess another segue or just another side note. That I saw like a tweet about of thought, because you brought up Alexa and Siri.
Yes.
That all of these tech assistants are all named after women and have female voices. And what this guy, it's a guy who tweeted this apparently, noted that we are teaching all these younger generations that women are supposed to be the assistant. By insisting that all of these tech assistants are female voices and female names. And I thought about it, I'm like, you know what? If we take that also going into these movies, all the robot movies, all the robots are men. Terminator is a man. Bicentennial Man was a man. iRobot, all the robots were men. Humans, you have women robots. One of them kicks ass, at least. But they're still all the aid. Yeah. Technically speaking, none of them were like, yo, we're like the major action pack something. No, they're all the aid. Yeah. So I was like, you know what? I never thought of it that way. Yeah, it's might be overthinking it, but because we're women, we have to. Yes. But like, we got to get on that. Like, why can't we have a Sir Roger assistant on these cell phones?
And I think the first GPS or one of the first GPS did have
Yeah, those
did have
Garmin GPSs.
Yeah, Garmin has
had
a
men,
male voice. I was like, hey, okay.
Those had male voices, but now the cars that have
Siri.
GPS in it, they're all female voices, right? I found that interesting.
It's an interesting point.
Yes.
You have to dig further into it.
You have to dig further. Like, why are you choosing to do that in terms of the voices that they use for certain things? Because sure, it's true. Like back when cell phones, when people used to use voicemail, it was a woman's voice of like, after the tone, please record your.
That's
right?
true. And
it was a woman's voice. Yeah. And that maybe that's why. Because remember when they used to do like that show we saw on Netflix. It was that Spanish show. I don't know if it was in Spain where they did in the 40s or 50s when they do the operator and they take out the wire from the there you go. Yeah, they were the cable girls or something, right? And that too, wasn't that industry? I forget. Y'all let me know. Was that industry one of like, it was primarily women who were the cable girls?
It seemed, I mean,
there were the women who were the operators, right?
Yeah. Or is it the operators are the ones?
So is this tying into the fact that we had, like in the 50s and stuff, it was like, that was one of the jobs that deemed to be appropriate for women, to be a phone operator. And that's why when we got into voicemail, it's a women's voice telling you to leave a voicemail. And now we're getting into AI. It's a women's voice asking you, sorry, I did not get that. Recalculating. You know what I'm saying? Like, is it again, it's just always appropriate for a woman's voice to be in that. But then why, out of all of these, the only one we can remember is the brand Garmin, who would make those GPS, the physical GPS that you would purchase separately to put in your car, that would have a man's voice to give you directions.
Yeah. The other side of it is like, well, also you think Alexa and Siri, maybe they think a female's voice is like, I don't know, is it like kinder or calmer to the ear or more peaceful to the ear? I don't know.
See, but that's a problem because like, why should we encourage men to be the menace?
That's true. Yeah.
Right?
Like men are like, oh, we think it's better to have like
men can't be calm and peaceful.
Yeah. Right. That's an interesting part of it too. And all of these different nuances.
There you go. Because I feel like, because it's humans creating these robots, it's very telling what image are you using to create them.
Yeah.
What personality traits are you using to create them? Similar to that first robot, what's her name? Lucy. Is that the one that, like, even though her bottom part... No, the real one.
Oh, okay.
Her bottom part looks like it's all metal and stuff, but she has the neck and the face. But it's a white woman's face that they gave her. And I'm kind of like, why did we choose to do that?
The only color,
Why do we choose certain features for the robots? And again, like, why do we need them to look human at all?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, why can't they look like Gumby? Or Bambi? Yeah. Or just like, random, why can't their head be a triangle? Like, why have to be why does it have to be like a human? They're already a robot.
Yeah, why do we need to make them, maybe they think, it'll make us feel more comfortable. I'm like, well,
no.
I don't. But it's like, it's
y'all are already comfortable with a vacuum cleaner with no head going around your space.
Making noise. The one that moves by itself.
Yes. That you're already comfortable with like a speaker. Because Alexa and them look like a speaker.
That's true. Like the cars too.
The cars that speak, or what do you mean?
No, cars. They don't look like humans. It's just, like an actual car.
Okay, yes.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Where like, and this thing can very easily kill you, kind of thing. And it's this huge thing making all this noise, and you're just going like, there's no issue at all. We don't need, I don't see the thing where, why do they even have to look like a human kind of thing? And it's interesting. So many things to ponder.
Interesting.
Yeah.
All right. Look at your list. What else did we go over?
Did we go over all the points you wanted to go over?
I'm not sure yet.
There's also a character too that in Humans, spoiler alert, that is like half human and like half robot, right? Which I thought was kind of interesting.
And he was useless.
Yeah, and he was always sick, kind of thing. Probably because he's
at least in iRobot.
Yeah.
Will Smith was half Android,
he was half
technically.
Android,
and was he useless? No.
So this is kind of and also kind of makes this podcast is not for anime. There'll be another one, but like
bring it in, honey. It's all right.
Gotta bring it.
Sprinkle it in there.
Exactly. It was a manga that I read in an anime, and there was one of the characters, like I think his sister had died or something, so he got a scientist to make her again, but as a robot because he was sad that she was gone, kind of thing. That's another thing I think of, like, is that good or bad to have that be a comfort for people? Like, they've lost people, people that their loved ones have been killed or they can't see them. Is it okay to create a robot that looks exactly like them and has all the same likeness, have everything, so to deal with the grieving process? Or like, is that okay? Is that, it's called chobits or chobits.
Interesting. I feel that's an interesting point, because I feel that on the one hand, I feel that would distort the grieving process.
It could, yeah. Yeah.
Like, I understand utilizing technology to be able to like replay memories of the person.
Yes.
In a way that feels more real, as opposed to just looking at photos or looking at a video. Yeah. Right? I see that.
Like in Harry Potter, where they would move the photos.
Exactly. Yeah. But this deal of you lost somebody and make a humanoid look like them so you can just continue living a fantasy as if they're not dead.
Yeah.
I feel will mess up people's minds a bit. Because the grieving process is a natural human experience, and you're kind of depriving them from that. And
then they can never, like, how will they ever fully move, or move if you think this person is,
especially if, because you can only give the humanoid the memories of the person prior to dying. You know what I'm saying? Like, there'll be
any of the new memories are not
exactly
be like
they won't.
Real.
Yeah,
so that could be
that's an interesting concept, though. That is interesting.
I thought that was kind of like it's kind of like sad and like eerie. I understand it, but it's like kind of sad. And also in that same story, there's another girl where she was dating a guy or something. She's human, but then he like left her because he wanted to date a robot instead or something like that. Like, he was like not interested with the human girl anymore, kind of thing. Which also is kind of like, well, the falling in love with a robot can be an issue, because like, you can't have kids with them, and then you can
have robotic kids,
I guess, unless you're like, or if you're like WandaVision and you just
there you go,
your own, like, spoiler, I'm just kidding. That's like super old, like comic book stuff.
Indeed.
But and like you fall in love with them, but like you can't, like, you're gonna grow old and die, and they're just gonna be forever just kind of alone, and that can be kind of.
And then on top of that, does the robot really love you?
Exactly. Can you really love?
Are you loving? Is it you're loving a robot that has consciousness and is given consent?
Yes.
Or you're loving a robot that's just playing out your fantasy because you programmed it to play out your fantasy.
There's that too,
right? Because I thought some of these other movies, like the one, I forget, I think there was one with Bruce Willis. I forget the name. Something like that. But you're primarily just utilizing robots for porn or utilizing robots for fantasy.
Yeah, where it's not real.
It's not real. So it's kind of just like a moving sex doll. And I'm like, but I mean, how is that
not,
I don't think that's what you were thinking of when you claim you want a different girlfriend who's a robot. So what are we doing?
It's like, that's not
what are we doing? So that is unfortunate.
Well, that's true. I was thinking more of the other side of it, where you actually are like in love with the
because the robot really actually has a consciousness and loves you back.
Yes,
got it.
That's what I meant. But of course, it's a robot, so like,
I mean, Bicentennial Man really loved his family.
Yeah,
so it could happen.
Right? But then what if you like reprogram the robot, remove all of their wires and everything?
Exactly.
And it's like, oh, never mind, completely. Which also happened in the other,
because you can wipe their memory.
Yeah, where and then you just you just like reset them, and it's like
a laptop where you just remove the hard drive and put a new one, then it's done.
And it's like which is obviously very different. I mean, obviously, yes, humans can lose their memory or have Alzheimer's and stuff, but that's still different. That's not so
it is fascinating.
It'd be interesting to see, like, I don't know how many years until we'll have like people, these robot looking things like walking around and like, but I think everything could be a robot. Like the chair could be a robot, the mirror could be, kind of thing. But I guess it definitely, even though maybe the plot got weird at some points in the show, but it does like create this conversation and make you think like, what if, and like, how would we deal with that, and how would that affect our lives and things like that, with robots roaming around. It
just seems like none of these movies really show the maintenance required for such things to really exist.
There's that too.
That's why I still feel the tech for the regular things we utilize to become more high tech. With the mirror, the stove, the phone, the television, or like the TV in the screen just in the wall. Those types of things, I think, make more sense for stuff that's just already like a smart house vibe, a smart office vibe. As well as
Smart House Disney.
I know, right? I haven't seen the movie in so long.
Right. That was
as well as there was this article I read on, I'll have to remember. I think it was like a Medium article. So maybe it was, I don't, it was research though. There was some research links in it. So it wasn't just a perspective of someone's mind.
Yes.
But they were taking note of, instead of having humanoids, the tech would be a deal of, we get to a point where we're utilizing the technology to inject ourselves with a bunch of different types of bots.
Yeah, like nanobots.
Yeah.
Like that. Yeah.
And the nanobots do a variety of things. One, as usual, everything always has to go to like healthcare and education as well. So again, preventative measures of the nanobot will tell you way in advance that there's something out of whack that you need to fix. Some of those things the nanobot will just fix yourself.
Helpful. Yeah.
The blood pressure is out of whack. This is out of, this organ is starting to do something, your kidney, whatever. The nanobot automatically is just there, fixes it, or does a deal of like a report goes on the wall to immediately to your doctor to be like, they need this prescription because this is what's happening in their body. While another aspect of those nanobots is that it will allow us possibly to alter our appearance. So that we could have a triangle head if we wanted to.
Yes.
Or we could look like Reptar if we wanted to. Or we could have purple skin if we wanted to. And so
Mystique from X-Men.
There you go. We all turn into some version of Mystique with these nanobots in our body. And in the article, it was also taking note of like, well, if we do that, then one, this whole like illusion of race and ethnicity and all that kind of stuff starts getting a little warped. So it's getting a little, you know what I'm saying? Because now you got purple people walking around.
Got like, people what do you do about them? What is your reaction to them?
Exactly. Are you going to scapegoat everybody you see who looks like Mystique?
Completely different.
What are we doing? Now we all look like that. We come from X-Men.
Now we're all blue.
Now we're all from the X-Men Academy. Are we having a problem now? Like what? So it was I found that interesting because it's the first time coming across that perspective of where the technology could go that I have yet to fully see movies portray yet.
That's true.
Outside of, it's just superheroes. Yeah, it's just, exactly. It's just superheroes or mutants that have those abilities that they were just born with. While the anytime as a human with this technology is because you created some humanoid that we're all looking up to do it, instead of you just put the technology in yourself and it's just a part of your daily life. So I thought that's also an interesting idea that looks like it would be a better investment as opposed to investing in building all these humanoids. Yeah. And it's similar to like building solar panels. Like, well, you'll need to upgrade. What do you do with the humanoid that needs to be upgraded? Do you keep it? You can't throw it away. It's not going, the earth can't consume it. So what do you do with it when
at the museum I went to, and where they like everything, it was made in a way where like things that used to be used, like old like USBs or floppy disks, they're just kind of like left to forever in like almost like paused in time because like they can't
they're not utilized.
You can't use them anymore, or it's hard to break them down, or they take years to break down. Like I heard, like what was it, the first, I don't know if it's still true, but like the first plastic that was ever made or something like still hasn't completely broken down. Like just even recycling, it's very hard to break it down.
Yes.
So it's kind of like frozen is what I was talking, like frozen in time. Right. Technology, yeah. But I think it's interesting. I don't know if it's like, is it better to make these humanoid things or to just make us more like that, like you said with the nanobots, like the Lucy movie with Scarlett Johansson, yes, where she had some kind of drug or something. This is also a spoiler alert. I don't know. This whole
Y'all
thing
should have seen the movie by now.
Riddled. I know, like all riddled all these spoilers. But like, and she has this bag of chicks, and then like she becomes like and I guess a robot in a sense. Like she does, like she doesn't feel pain. She doesn't but she's able to deal with everything when she needs to. She can go anywhere that she needs to. She can like move her whole body. To do.
But remember, that was more about, at least from how I interpreted it. Yes, it is robot-like, but it was also more about claiming if we utilized our entire brain,
yes,
we would be able to do that. While we apparently use, I don't know what, a smaller percentage of our brain.
That's true.
Because she was able to like control her metabolism, control this, control that, all that kind of
like
stuff.
100%.
Yes, but it was all because your brain power. If you had all of your brain power, you could do that. Yeah. So it's like, okay, so do we need the nanobots, or do you need to teach us to use our brain?
Yeah, true.
Would the nanobots teach us to use our brain?
Exactly.
But yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, as opposed to creating these other creatures that I don't know if we, And I know there's that they brought up something about, I know of like pandemic and stuff, like making robots that could assist people that like if you're elderly and you live alone, or there's not, I don't know, enough humans to take care of people in nursing homes and things, that could be useful. But again, do you need to look like a humanoid to or look like a human to do that? Right. Right. So So many interesting concepts.
Very, very. All right. Well, I think this was a lovely conversation.
Yes, I think we did good this time.
Yes. I enjoyed it. Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, it was interesting.
It was cool. It was cool. All right. Well, that concludes this episode.
Yes.
Please let us know, what are your thoughts on any of the things we brought up from the different movies and series.
What gels with you? What influences you?
The future of how technology is developing. What sort of things would you like to see? What sort of things are you concerned about? Let's continue the conversation wherever we are going to continue this conversation.
And hopefully after this next podcast, we'll actually have a title.
Yes. All right. Well, you will hear us. We will hear each other on our next episode.
Yes.
Take care.
Take care. Bye-bye.